Hey, it's Thursday again. It's my day to play. So I'm upstairs today, and welcome to Peace and Harmony Farm. I'm Teresa Allen, and so today we're going to do some kombucha. I don't know if we have kombucha lovers out there or not, but mine started back at Davidson College when we would have it for our farm formal every year. So, and one student started making it, Jessie Blount. Thank you very much, girl. She would sell it out of her dorm room, and so this is from her recipe and how to do that, and I'll put a link. She still has it out there after I don't know how many years. It's called Eating Arty, but it tells how to do this. And what we're doing today is the second flavoring, your second fermentation. See if I can pull this around a little bit. I've got my bottles all set. I have some shrub that we're going to use, and then also this is a byproduct from our candied ginger. This is the simple syrup, and I thought what a great flavoring that would make. And then we've got the tea kettles working over here for the next when we finish this off. So I'm hoping everybody can see what I'm gonna do here in just a second. So if you've never done one before, this was the hardest part for me. I put it in glass. It's always in glass. Never use metal for anything when you're doing a kombucha. And so this big glass jar, I'm sure I found this at Walmart somewhere. You can see my little SCOBY is floating around in there. We're gonna pull her out and make some for the next batch you saved from that one. I put a elastic around it so we never get fruit flies and all those happy things. And I use just a linen napkin to do that with. So this is the fun part. I'm gonna see if I can make you see what I'm doing. And again, putting it in a glass bowl. If I don't get to make this today, I'm hoping we do so that you get to see. Lifting it out was my hardest part because this is like ooey gooey. Oh, it's hard. Never mind. It's not ooey gooey today. So this guy comes out in a disc and he has some stuff on the back and we put it back in there, but I think there's another guy floating around in there. We'll find out. Oh yeah, that was the one I started with and it made another mom. I don't see it. All right. But always take a couple of scoops of your original batch because that helps to start the next one, kind of like sourdough and things on that, anything that's in a fermented state. So I just make sure it's covered. Again, I'm using plastic, not the best, but I've never seen a wooden one of these to work with. So cover her back up in case we don't get back to that today, but I'm hoping we do. Rinse my hands off. So SCOBY, symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. It's a fungus is what it feels like, but and if you're like me, I need to keep one of my bottles with this thing with your lid on it, the beer bottle, because I always put it on the wrong way. So I left a couple here so that I can always like go, oh yeah, that's the way that's supposed to go on there. So hook them all in. So for the second fermentation, I always add, I used to use ball mason jars, but the seal never gave me fizzy. I wanted fizzy busy. That's why we drank it, right? I mean, it's okay if it's blah, but you could always put more flavorings inside there because you're the top of the mouth. Because when you're doing with this, you've got to do something with the liquid. I thought about putting some, since it's ginger, some cranberry, because since it's holiday time, but we won't go there today. I have a lot of this syrup left, that byproduct of yumminess. So I put, I don't have a recipe here. And half an inch in the bottom of the jar. And a couple of these, I might splash some of our elderberry shrub since that's already a vinegar. But the elderberry ginger is quite delicious. Another note on when you're doing a second fermentation, I personally put it inside a cooler. I've heard it can explode, and I don't really feel like cleaning that up off of everything, so we keep it inside. Ooh, that one's got lots of stuff. Oh, ginger even clogged it up there. I don't want to clean it up, so I put it inside a cooler, put the lid on it, check it every day. Usually 2 to 3 days on a second fermentation is what I'd like to use. Some of these didn't get quite as much, so we will pour in some of our shrub. And the sugar in these is going to help ferment some more. And hopefully I get some good action. I don't think I've done this in a couple years. Since we moved here, that's right. We moved up here in the fall of 20. We'll leave a couple with just ginger. So, literally, all we're going to do, get that ginger chunk out of there. Okay. And then we just fill our jars. And I use black tea in mine. A lot of people, you can use green tea. You can use decaffeinated. Personally, I run on caffeine, so I make mine as strong as I like. And I also don't fill it all the way up. I've got a couple of inches there, easy. Bring it over, snap my lid on. I'd be happy to know what you guys, does anyone else have a favorite second flavoring? We have a kombucha dealer at Market, and he does all kinds of Tulsi and rose hips and CBD and all kinds of yummy flavors. You can get kind of basic some days, but it's all right. You can buy scobies online. I've never done that. So find a friend. Find somebody who has one. Ours will, I could split that a couple times. It's pretty thick. I will show that in just a second before we start the next one. That's how it mostly gets passed along, if someone has one and shares it. I think that's half the fun. So, I'm making a mess. That's okay. I clean up. Stronger than my fingers want to go today. There you go. So literally I take a cooler and I put it inside here. And then I put it somewhere I'm going to walk by it. So like right here in the kitchen, so that I remember it's there and it doesn't sit too long. And then I just throw these in the refrigerator after a couple of days. And then I hope and wait, and then I pop it off and I hope to hear fizzies. Ginger's going to be good. It's going to be warming, especially since it's going into the 20s in 3 days. Early. There is no more normal on weather. No more normal. I find I only did 6 bottles. I find that usually a gallon will make me 6, and then also having enough for the next batch to give her enough goodness to start the next round. And I let this sit continually. Some people do a perpetual one. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if it gets poured off from the bottom, but that's something to look at if that's something that works for you. I see all kinds of weird floaty things. Oh, there's that other little SCOBY. All right, sank. Just sank. And that was the original one I got. I think it was in July. So this has been sitting since July making, doing its thing. So here's that little guy. I'll show you that. And I'll show you how that one would probably separate too, even though it's little. You can see where the layers and layers from there, but you are able, slimy on the bottom. And it's got little tea things going on, but that's what this little guy, that's the smallest one I've ever seen, but she gave it to me in a small jar. But I'll save that for someone else. They may want to, again, fingers. And the tea water is just about ready. And then we'll go to the other side of that, and I'll show you how we're going to start the next batch. So, down to the bottom, and it did make make just about 6 bottles. Kind of what I count on. And now that I have that extra SCOBY, I'm glad I have a little bit left. And then I'll put that in a different jar when we're done, just so I can pass it along. I'm not sure they're shippable, but if you're close, if you're local and you would like one, reach out. I'd be happy to share that with you. And local is to Meadows of Dan, Floyd, Blacksburg, Roanoke. I'm out and about every week. So, there we go. We'll finish that up. Fingers are not as strong as they used to be. Go. Drop them in here. All right, I'm gonna pour that off in there because we don't need that just yet. So now we'll reverse and go to the beginning. That's yummy. It smells good. Not bad for someone who couldn't touch one a few years back. So, in the starting process, I use black tea bags. And I use the big ones. These are like the family size tea because it calls for like 5 or 6. So I put at least 3 of these in. Just drop them in there. Pour your hot water over it. And I only fill, it says halfway, like a half a gallon. And that's about what my tea kettle holds. We're just gonna let this sit. I'm gonna come back. I let this steep for, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever gets really dark and happy. That's kind of hot on my, I'm gonna put that little napkin underneath there for the countertop and just let this sit. When I come back, I would take out those tea bags, push it, squeeze them out. And then all you're gonna do is add 1 cup of sugar. Stir that in. So do it when it's still warm a little bit so that your sugar will dissolve, and then you will finish filling it up with water. Again, leaving enough room that we're gonna pick that SCOBY up, float her back on the top, and pour the old batch on top of this batch. Then we put the linen back over the top. I put my rubber band around her so no little critters can get in there. And this time I just happened to put the lid back on top of that too, because it was fall and we had a fruit fly festival going on in here and I didn't want to ruin my batch. So that's how we get started. I will leave the links to Eating Arty. Jessie Blount, thank you very much. I think you're in Atlanta now, but and married, doesn't have that name anymore. Thank you for the tradition. And so have a good day. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. Great. Teresa Allen, Peace and Harmony. Give me a like if this is something that worked for you. Bye. Have a good day.